name is Holiday Owojori, the founder of OK Integrated Services. My video is to educate end users, not an installer or somebody that wants to get into the solar business. Because I have questions from my previous video telling me to share more light into the solar inverter system. But this video is not for those that are going into the solar inverter system. This video is for those that I call our end users. So now today we're talking about how to know a solar inverter system that will work. So how do you know a solar inverter system that works? So firstly, for my last to what your solar inverter system entails. So we had a discussion and we mentioned the solar panel, charge controller, inverter, battery, and eventually the load, which can be your house, office, industries, etc. Since you've known all of this as the component of your solar inverter system, now let's talk about how to know that your solar inverter system works. Things which are also part of all of these that are here. So firstly, for to know a solar inverter system that works, the first thing that needs to be done is called load analysis. They talk about load analysis. Load analysis is the assessment of your load that you are going to be putting on the solar inverter system. For instance, now in the office that we have a standing fan, we have laptops, we have some equipment that we use for maintenance. So for me to design a system that will work, I have to first do the proper load assessment. So what load assessment means, I have to check the capacity of each of those items that I'm going to be using on the inverter. So for instance, if let's say, okay, I want to use a fan, I want to use TV, I want to use, let's say I want to use these two. So it's not just listing them. That's, load analysis. That means I need to break them down to what? Their capacity. So I should be able to say, okay, my fan is 50 watts, my TV is 100 watts, my washing machine is 200 watts. So by doing all of this, it helps me to understand the kind of system that will be designed for me. So that it will be a situation whereby when a system is now brought into my premises and it's installed, and I have all of this thing powered, the system will start shutting down. So firstly, you should be able to do your load analysis, which is very simple. Now, another thing that you should also understand is under this load analysis, there are some load that they call inductive load. The load that, the actual rating on them might be maybe 200 watts, but by the time they are starting up, they might take times 2 or times 3 of that energy. So that means they'll be taking like 400 or 600 watts. So if you are doing that, you have to factor all of that into the sizing of your inverter, which is that make your system works. So by doing that, let's give instances of items that comes up with that kind of energy. We have AC. So when your AC, you check outside, you write 1000 watt, 10 amps and all of that. But when they are starting up, some of them consume times 2, times 3 of their initial energy. You have to consider that in your design. Then another thing is your fridge or freezer, especially those olden days ones. So sometimes they peak. Any item that has, I think possibly coil, also takes more than what is actually rated on them. So that is why your load analysis is good. You can't just come and tell an installer that, okay, I want my TV, my fan, my television. You can't just keep telling them that. All you need to do is to make sure that you to be able to do the actual load analysis, load assessment. Secondly, When after doing your load assessment, that will determine a lot of things. Will determine the size of your panel, will determine the inverter, will determine your battery bank. Now, a solar system that works firstly must have its own load analysis. Secondly, when say okay, for instance now, this total energy here from this system is 50, 100, 200, which is 350 watt. I can't just go to the market and buy an inverter of 350 watt. I have to factor in some stuff on it, so I can't be using the grammatical terms here because of this is for an end user. So that means we have to factor in some things on it. So let's say 20% of more than what is here. For me, I sometimes I go as high as 50%. So if you say 350 watts, I can give you, if there's 700, I'll give you 700 watts, because I have to factor in some of those inductive loads, some things that can just come up at any time, So this load analysis helps you to consider your panel, your charge controller, your inverter, your battery, and all of this is what makes a solar inverter system works. So now, when we are looking at this, we also let's look after doing this load analysis, which will help us in calculating everything that we need here. Now we need to consider the battery. Now the battery is the stored energy. That means your battery is not NEPA. It's not coming from a well of indefinite source of energy. This energy is limited to the battery capacity. So even if your panel is generating more than enough, and at the end of the day you think I've generated a lot of energy, and this will take me, no. It's all about your battery. Your battery can only take according to its capacity. So if I have 5 kilowatts, even if I'm generating 20 kilowatts worth of energy from the panel, I will still end up having 5 kilowatts. Immediately the sun goes down, I will still have that same 5 kilowatts. Your energy generated from the panel is limited to the sun stops, your panel stops generating. So what happens is you now go back to the backup power. When you are having this, there's what we call days of autonomy. Days of autonomy means days that I want to rely on battery when sun is not coming out. Okay, like for instance in Nigeria, sometimes we have 7 days rain, we have 3 days rain. So if the person can afford the numbers of days of autonomy, so for instance I want to rely on backup power, backup energy for 3 days. So you have to factor that into this system, into your battery. So if the client is requesting for 3 days autonomy, you already know the energy you need here per hour. Then you ask for the days that the person wants to be on the battery. So that means if sun is not coming out for like 2 or 3 days, you are good to go. But basically in most installations that we've been doing, I think the highest day of autonomy that I've seen is 2 days. Consider all of that. And I want you to understand something, that you as the end user are the one that determines the success of your solar inverter system. If you hold back information about what you want to use your solar inverter system for, you will end up getting a system that is undersized or oversized. Oversized means you are spending more, and undersized means you are going to be having issues. Now, if I'm determining my battery, I have to consider now my solar panel. Now, why am I considering my solar panel now? We have sun, the peak sun hour. That is when the sun comes out and goes and is very, very efficient. So they call it peak sun hour. In some part of Nigeria, we have 6 hours, and some parts we have 4 hours, some we have 5 hours. To use your location to determine the numbers of peak sun hour that you have. If I'm designing a system that is, let's say the battery bank is let's say 2000 watts hour, which is 2 kilowatt hour, and I need my battery to be fully charged, maybe let's say within 2 to 3 hours, or within the period of the peak sun hour in that location. I have to design a panel that will charge this within those periods. If your panel cannot charge your battery full within 3 to 4 hours, there's going to be a problem, because at the end of the day, you keep draining a battery that has not been charged well, that has not been balanced. The cells have not been balanced, which is one of those things that will not make your solar inverter system work. So when you have this battery, you design your panel to make sure that you charge your battery within the peak sun hour. And for us at OK Integrated Services, we consider charging your battery within 2 to 3 hours, so that the extra 1 hour that the panel, or the extra energy that the panel is generating, can supply your load during daytime, so that you will not be touching your battery during daytime and your battery will be able to last you all through the night till the next morning, and the process starts all over again. So I hope this information that I've shared has made you understand how a system works, how a solar inverter system works, how to have a good system, how to know that your system will work. Because if you don't consider all of these things, if you don't consider all of these factors, your solar inverter system cannot work. Number one, your load analysis. Number two, copper sizing of inverter. Second one, battery. And you have to consider days of autonomy. The third one is your solar panel. If all of these things are properly done, your system will work very fine. It will guarantee peace of mind, steady flow of electricity, no disruption, nothing. So I hope all this information is useful to you. Please kindly follow us, like and comment, so that we can do more of this educational video, especially for you, our end users. Thank you very much for your time, and have a great day.